Hey, what's up guys? I wanted to do a video on something that I have been thinking about since the beginning of my pregnancy. It's about breastfeeding versus formula feeding. And I know that some moms choose to breastfeed, some moms choose to formula feed. With my two children, I did both. I breastfed and I formula fed. With my son, he was my first. I didn't know much about breastfeeding at all. I didn't know about the proper latching, about colostrum, about how you have to let your milk come in, and how you have to breastfeed often to have a good milk supply. I struggled so much trying to breastfeed him. And the thing is, I really wanted to breastfeed him, but I had it in my mind that my milk wouldn't come in for some reason. But it was just that I had colostrum, and I wasn't seeing it, but the baby was getting the colostrum. But I'm thinking, I don't have any milk, I only have a little bit of milk, and the baby's not full, and I can't do this, That's what I automatically assumed. So I bottle fed him and breastfed him, but after a while I just stopped breastfeeding because I felt like it wasn't working out. I never got engorged. My nipples did get sore and cracked, but it was worth it because I really wanted to breastfeed him. With my daughter, I breastfed her too and bottle fed her because I'm assuming that she's not getting enough. But I knew that, she was getting colostrum and she was getting some breast milk when my milk came in. But I was just at that point in my life where I'm happy not to be pregnant anymore. I wanted to go to my friend's house. I wanted to be here and there. And I didn't want to sit down and breastfeed all day. I didn't want to sit down and breastfeed all day. And I wanted to drink. I wanted to have wine. I wanted to have alcohol again. So it's just like I breastfed her for a little while, and then I just stopped. But with this baby, I no longer drink. I never drank when I was pregnant or anything, but I don't drink at all anymore, pregnant or not pregnant. I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm married now, and I'm engaged, but I have a family, a complete family now, and I don't club, I don't do those things. All I have time for is to breastfeed all day. So with this baby, I'm going to commit to solely breastfeeding, no formula whatsoever. I'm going to have this little baby on my boobs all day long. So that's what I want to do. Okay. I want to talk to you about the pros and the cons of breastfeeding and formula feeding. Okay, so first I did some research and I have some notes here. And first I want to talk about formula feeding pros. The pros of formula feeding. What's good about formula feeding? Okay, for one, the baby stay full longer. When you formula feed, actually the baby overeats because the baby's stomach is the size of a marble. The first day or two, the baby's stomach is the size of a marble, and 2 ounces of milk is just way too much for the baby's stomach, actually. And so they get really full, and it even stretches out their stomach sooner. So they get really full, and they stay full longer than a breastfed baby would. Anyone can feed the baby. This is another pro of formula feeding. Anybody can feed the baby. Your husband can feed the baby. You can have another sibling can feed the baby because it's formula. It's in the bottle. Moms can take necessary medications without worrying about if they will harm their baby by passing it through the breast milk. So if you have to take any kind of medications, if you need aspirin or whatever, you can take it and not worry about passing anything off into the breast milk because you're not breastfeeding. It's fine. And you won't harm your baby. It's more convenient. Bottle feeding is more, formula feeding is more convenient for working mothers that have to return to work. You don't have to worry about pumping on your lunch break. So it's like, hey, the baby is at home or at the babysitter's with his formula. You don't have to worry about pumping. You don't have to worry about your breast filling up when the baby is hungry, because that's what happens when you're breastfeeding. If you're not, your breast has a schedule with your baby. So if your baby's hungry, your breasts are going to fill up. So if you're at work and your breasts are filling up, you have to go pump that milk out, or your breasts are going to get really hard and they're going to leak. You don't want that. So that's a convenience, a pro of formula feeding. Moms don't have to worry about their diets as much. You can consume alcohol and not worry about transferring it. So when you are bottle feeding, formula feeding, you don't have to worry about what you're putting into your body, because you're not giving your baby your breast milk. You're giving the baby formula. So you can consume whatever the heck you want to. You know, you can drink alcohol, you can eat fast food, whatever you want to eat. You don't have to worry about eating healthy, okay? Because you don't have to worry about the nutrition being passed on into your breast milk to your baby. No, go sit down. Go sit down. Go sit down. My son always interrupts me when I'm vlogging. Every single time. Every single time. Okay, those are all the pros to formula feeding that I found. Okay, now let's try the Breastfeeding Pros. Okay, breast milk contains everything your baby needs to grow and thrive. Breast milk is the complete form of nutrition. It pretty much explains it. That's pretty self-explanatory right there. You won't need to give your baby any water, since water is already in your breast milk. When you're formula feeding, you should give your baby a little water every once in a while, because the babies will get constipated. Yeah, they do need little extra water, because they will indeed get constipated. When you're breastfeeding, you don't have to worry about that, because there's three different stages to the breast milk. First, there's the colostrum that's in for the first 2 or 3 days before your milk comes in, and then when your milk comes in, the first milk is usually the watery milk. It's a different color. It's thinner. It's whiter, more clearish looking milk, and that has more water in it. And then after your boobs let down, then the more thicker, yellowish, milk comes in, and that's the milk that's full of the fats and everything. It's a process, and it's amazing. You won't have to get up and make bottles and mix formula in the middle of the night. No sterilizing, no buying bottles or extra nipples. That is a pain, after a while. Getting up constantly to make bottles, you have to mix the formula, and then I don't believe in giving the babies tap water, so you have to buy extra bottled water. Go sit down. You have to buy extra bottled water for the babies, and you have to constantly sterilize and clean, and oh my God, so many bottles, and get up in the middle of the night mixing this up and heating it up. And I know you can give your baby room temperature water, but I really prefer when I had my babies to warm their milk up, because I think they prefer warm, because the breast milk it's warm. It's coming out of your body, so it's warm. I don't think they really enjoy the room temperature or cold milk. They like it warm. Okay. Another pro to breastfeeding is the antibodies passed to your baby through breast milk may help decrease your chances of them developing certain infections I mean, that's like awesome right there. I mean, usually it's that colostrum. Oh, that colostrum. They call it liquid gold. It's the colostrum that gives your baby all those antibodies to just build up its immune system. Like, human milk is the best milk, okay? Your breast milk is like the best thing for your baby because it doesn't have the formula doesn't have the nutrition and the antibodies in it that the breast milk does, which is great. And breastfed babies are smarter. Okay, those are all the pros to breastfeeding. And let me go back. I'm looking at the pros to formula feeding and the pros to breastfeeding. And all I'm seeing for the pros to formula feeding is convenience. It's convenience for the mother. Okay? Oh, you can drink. You don't have to eat healthy. You don't have to worry about pumping. Your breast don't hurt and all that other crap. But your baby is not getting the adequate nutrition that it would get from the breast milk. Even though your baby will thrive, your baby will grow, your baby will be fine with formula, it's not breast milk, period. The benefits to breastfeeding is all this nutrition, all these antibodies, and you know, the babies are less gassy. You don't have to worry about colic and all this spitting up and all this, you know, all this extra stuff. Okay, let's go to the cons. The cons of formula feeding. Your baby doesn't receive antibodies from formula, therefore may not have that added protection against certain viruses. They don't get the antibodies that they will get from breast milk. So, I mean, okay. Formula feeding is expensive. The average cost of formula is $20 per can. You have to replace bottles and nipples often to eliminate bacteria and mold. So you're constantly buying bottles and nipples. You're constantly buying formula. $20 a can. And a regular size can of formula only lasts about 2 days. Especially in the beginning when they're eating constantly. About 2 days. It's not going to last very long. That's $20 a can. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And they have programs such as WIC. They have that here in California. I don't know if they have it in any other states. But not everybody qualifies for WIC. You have to be a certain income, lower income, to qualify for WIC. And they only give you a certain amount of cans. You know, so it's expensive to formula feed. Midnight feedings can be irritating because of the washing of bottles, mixing, and warming up formula. The whole process you have to go through to get that bottle ready for that baby. Meanwhile, a breastfeeding mom, all she gotta do is pop her titty out. Boom, bam, boom. There's something that your nipples secrete that actually cleanses them. But you know, you can always, you know, wash your breasts and whatever. Hey. Some babies don't tolerate certain formulas and can be allergic to them. And this can mean switching to a more expensive brand. Now, not all formula is created equal. So they have different kinds of formulas. They have formulas especially for colicky babies. They have formula especially for babies that are lactose intolerant. And usually these different brands tend to cost more. The cost differs. Like my son, he spit up a whole lot when he was a baby. We had to switch his formula to Enfamil AR. Enfamil AR was supposed to help him not spit up as much, and it was a more expensive brand. Okay, those are the cons to formula feeding. Wow. Breastfeeding cons. Alright, if you take in too little of certain nutrients, the quality of your breast milk can be compromised, which means your baby will not be getting the best nutrition. So if you're not eating healthy, then your breast milk is not going to be healthy. If you're eating junk food and fast food, drinking a whole bunch of soda, your breast milk is not going to be worth nothing. Like, it's just going to be crappy. So it's like when you are breastfeeding, you have to pretty much eat like you're pregnant. You have to take your prenatal pills still. You have to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, drink lots of water, because when you're breastfeeding, you're really thirsty, and it really helps with your milk supply. staying hydrated. Another con to breastfeeding is taking in too much of certain substances. Alcohol, caffeine, mercury in fish can be dangerous to your baby. So pretty much the same thing as being pregnant. It's like when you're breastfeeding, you have to act accordingly. You pretty much still act like you're pregnant. Okay, there's certain things you cannot eat still, or certain things you cannot put into your body. It's just be pregnant all over again. No alcohol, no smoking, no too much fish that contains too much mercury. This is no caffeine, because it's all going through your breast milk into your baby. Some women may find breastfeeding uncomfortable and even painful, either physically or psychologically, for many reasons. So, I mean, breastfeeding can be painful if you're not doing it right. You know, make sure you have a good latch. Make sure the baby has your whole areola in its mouth so that you won't get sore, cracked nipples. But that passes anyway. That doesn't last for very long. You get engorged when you're not feeding your baby often enough. It's like if you start feeding your baby often and then you have this great milk supply that comes in and then your baby's not eating, then I mean, you're going to get engorged. So, or if you're pumping too much, you're pumping a lot and you're breastfeeding a lot, and your body's going to think this baby is eating a lot, so it's going to make a lot of milk. That's when engorgement comes in. But that stuff doesn't last very long anyway, and I think breastfeeding is best. I've always have, even though breastfeeding has not really worked out for me in the past. I am definitely going to give 100% to breastfeeding this child. Okay? Sit down, Joaquin. I'm definitely going to, you know, put more effort into breastfeeding this time around, because I really want to succeed. I want to breastfeed my baby for at least a year, maybe a year and a half. I don't know. It just depends, you know. I believe that breast milk is best. When it comes to the battle between formula and breast definitely wins for me. It always has. Not to say that there's anything wrong with formula feeding, because your baby is still going to thrive. Your baby is still going to be healthy. Your baby is still going to gain weight and everything. But it's nothing like the breast milk. Breastfed babies are smarter. They're less gassy. They're less likely to get colic. They get these wonderful antibodies that helps them fight off diseases and viruses that the formula just doesn't have. So I think you should give your baby the best chance from the start. I believe that these breasts, these are not sexual objects. These were created by God to nourish your baby. This is natural. This is what they were intended to do. If they were not intended to feed your baby, they would not secrete breast milk. They would not secrete milk. So why not give them the best? Don't be selfish. Give your baby the breast milk. Give your baby the titty milk, okay? And that's what the babies need. I mean, if it's just not, if you try and it just doesn't work out for you, then at least you tried, you know. But, you know, at least give it effort. Give it a try. So, breast milk definitely works for me. Breastfeeding is number one. It's natural, and I'm going for that. Alrighty then. That's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. And tell me what you think about this whole breastfeeding, formula feeding thing. Do you plan on breastfeeding if you are pregnant? Women that are pregnant out there, do you plan on breastfeeding or bottle feeding? Or both? Or how do you feel about breast milk? How do you feel about formula? Let me know. This is